and the magic did happen.
It sure did. The new mast base turned out to be awesome. So, the new mast base turned out to be awesome. Right off the bat, when we left the boatyard around about 5 months ago, we put it to a real test and we took the boat over to the Finnish Gulf, and the new mast base performed like an ace. It turned out to be really strong, and better than I ever imagined it could have been. It might not be the prettiest of them all. If you look really closely, you can see the handmade result. It's not like a factory surface or anything like that. But it wasn't meant to be like that. It was meant to be strong, solid, and something you can trust on and rely on. It's a little bit stormy here, or a little bit swell here at the port. It's now end of the season. It's 2nd of December, and I'm about to take the mast down in just a couple of days. I came to the boat just to prepare the mast removal a little bit. Hopefully the weather is not going to be like this when I'm going to drive it back to the boatyard in a couple of days. Let's see how it turns out. It has now come time to wrap this video up and also wrap this project up. It's been now 2 years, almost two whole seasons sailing with this new mast base, and overall after this experience I can say I've been super happy with the end results, and it was definitely worth it to do the time lengthy and intensive project that I did. I've been now crossing the Finnish Gulf a few times, 2 passages to Tallinn and back, and even in open sea conditions there's been absolutely nothing wrong with the project, and definitely in the end of the video I'd like to share my experiences and couple of my takeaways, that if I would restart the project now, what would be the things that I would reconsider, and what would I be considering might be helpful for someone who's thinking over or pondering for a similar kind of project. So definitely not difficult one, not very difficult one. If you learn the basics of how to use the epoxy or polyester, if you will, but I did use the epoxy resin and fiberglass. And if you learn the basics, and you will learn as you go. So definitely worth it. Don't be intimidated by it. Everyone learns it if you try to practice and learn. And I didn't know much of lamination. I had a couple of minor projects before I started, but definitely I learned a lot along the way. So 3 things at least I want to share with you guys if you ever consider a similar kind of project. First is that if you are using epoxy laminate, which I did, this thing, now that I remember when I removed the old plywood core from the inside, and it's now from bottom to the top full laminate, full epoxy laminate, or composite if you will. So it's gonna be tough. It's real tough, rock hard. I would assume that if I would fire a bullet from here, probably wouldn't go through, because it's such hard thing. I don't know, I'm not gonna shoot my boat anyway. But for instance, after the project, when I was installing this socket here, please do consider that it's really tough and really hard. So I lost a couple of screws in the process and a couple of drill bits as well. So do not even consider putting the screws on without drilling a proper pilot holes, and big enough pilot holes first, and invest in a good quality drill bits as well, because it's hard. It's real hard. Okay, that was the one. It's gonna last forever for sure, and it's not gonna compress, and it's gonna, even the next owner of the boat never will have to worry about this thing again, because it's bulletproof. Okay. The second thing I would like to point out, that I had to reconsider that when I was laminating this all the way up from bottom to the top, and then I did the final layers of the laminate you know, overlapping first until here and then until here and then until here, so it kind of wraps up the whole thing together. I was aware of the fact that it's rising the dimensions of this mast step a little bit, so it was rising its dimensions a little bit this way, a little bit that way, and a little bit higher as well. Not big, no biggie, nothing major, but a couple of millimeters though. But what the end result was, and this was explained to me by the rigger later on when I was rigging my boat. Later in the summer, after the project, I found out that my shrouds were not able to reach the chain plates, or some of them actually. My main shrouds, these were able to reach because there was enough of play in these screws, rigging screws. But these how do you call baby shrouds or whatever, these inner stays, they were not able to reach the chain plates. There was not enough of play in the rigging screw, and also I think that same spring I redid the shrouds, so they shortened it a little bit. I put this loops, so I can just take out the rigging screw and change it whenever I will. So it also shortened up the baby shroud a little bit, so they were not able to reach here. So I got away with it by just putting a toggle in it, so no harm done. But the rigger guy explained me that by the laws of geometry, when you rise this dimension here, which basically has an effect on all the way up towards the top of the mast. So by the trigonometry, if you rise this dimension, it has a multiplied effect on this dimension here. So if you have a couple of millimeters here, it's several millimeters in here. So please do consider that as well. So be ready if you don't have enough of play in the rigging screws. Be ready to redo your shrouds as well, or put a toggle on your chain plates, or avoid rising the overall dimensions of the mast step. I didn't care about the dimensions because I wanted to make it strong. I didn't care if it comes up a little bit higher or a little bit bigger or a little bit sturdier, but that's something to consider for sure. And then the final one, the third point, my mast step. So or this is the mast step, and this is whatever. Mast base, yeah, let's call this a mast step, and this is the mast base, okay? So my mast base attaches with 6 bolts, 3 on this side and 3 on the other side. And obviously, when you have a when you have mast standing on top of the deck, so mast step, deck step mast, then you have some sort of a compression post underneath, which I do as well, and then the counter screws or the counter holes will be underneath. So the 6 screws goes, 4 of them in my case, they go on top of this compression post, and then the two remaining go just through the deck over here. Anyway, they're through bolts, and they definitely has to be through bolts. These screws are some whatever previous screws that the previous owner had. I don't know what kind of modifications he or she did, and also some of these screw holes are not made by myself. So my strategy for this was I tried to hang on to the old screws, 6 screw holes that I had. So I didn't want to drill any extra holes. I wanted to maintain the old holes, and it comes a little bit problematic when you start in there over laminating the old holes here. And when you put let's say you put 2 layers of laminate, it's almost impossible to see the old holes anymore. Especially if you put a 3rd laminate on, then they disappear completely. So my strategy was to just try to hang hang on to the old screw holes, and I was every couple of layers I screwed the pilot holes for the screws, and then I screw them open again, then I did the next 2 layers and then screw them again. And in the end result it was okay. With a friend of mine, when we were finally installing the new mast step, or the old mast step, we were able to rediscover the old holes, and with a little bit of play and with a little bit of adjustment, we were able to match the holes, and we were able to get the mast step perfectly aligned on the center line and also straight compared to the mast step. Sorry. The best. I don't have a tailor-made and ready-made solution for that, but definitely have a think over it. What's your strategy when you're starting this kind of project? So think it over. What's your strategy? And look up a couple of YouTube videos. Think it over again, and then define your own strategy, winning solution for it. So if I would be restarting this kind of project, what could I do? What I might do is I just might forget about the old holes and forget about the old holes that this guy, previous owner, had sometimes drilled. They might be perfectly aligned, or they might not be. So I would probably could consider that I would just relaminate everything, put the new mast step on the perfectly alignment, perfectly straight, put it exactly where I wanted it to be, then drill the holes, and then probably I would buy this new bracket for the compression post, and then would re-drill the holes exactly where I wanted them to be, and I would not be worried about the old holes that much. However, this was not a bad thing. My strategy, which I chose, it worked out all right. Also, when drilling the laminates, new laminates, I lost a couple of drill bits in a way, because the epoxy laminate is hard. But think it over. Define your own solution. How would you do it? Anyway, that was my project. As you can see, I wasn't in a hurry for documenting everything. This project took place in summer of 2019. It was no summer of 2020. Yeah, summer of 2020, and now it's the end of summer 21. So thank you very much for watching my video. Hopefully if this video helps even one single person who is considering a similar kind of project, then I consider myself successful. So this is probably also my very first YouTube videos I ever did. So if you all the comments, please do leave a comment and just let me know how you think of my video. If there's any way I could keep improving this kind of videos, or any kind of comments are welcome. And but this regular YouTube lingo that just like if you like, yeah, do like if you like, don't like if you didn't, and leave a comment. Yeah, subscribe even if you consider that these kind of videos are of interesting to you, or if this kind of boat, to 22 foot boat sailing over the Finnish Gulf, might be something you would be interested in. Anyhow, thanks very much for watching. This wraps the video up. Thank you very much. Cheers.